Hey folks, welcome back to Uncle Boogie Productions. Today, we're diving into a chilling true crime story from the sandy shores of Cape Cod, Massachusetts, a place known for its quaint seaside charm. But in 1994, it became the backdrop for a brutal murder that shocked a tight-knit community. This is the story of Milton L. Rice, a respected gym teacher who seemed to have it all, and his wife, Mary Ellen Rhis Rice, whose life ended in a horrifying twist after 18 years of marriage. Grab a seat, because this one's got layers: love, deception, a fiery cover-up, and a courtroom showdown. Let's get into it. Milton L. Rice was born in 1945, a man who'd carved out a solid life for himself by the time the 90s rolled around. At 48 years old, he was a fixture at Barnstable High School, where he'd been a physical education teacher and coach for years. Before that, he'd worked at Fairhaven High School, racking up 26 years in education. Milton wasn't just any teacher. He'd gone to Springfield College and Northeastern University, earning a Master of Science in Sports Medicine. Back in his younger days, he'd been a lifeguard and even played semi-pro football. The guy was athletic, educated, and well-liked, living at 120 Buttonwood Lane in West Barnstable with his family. Then there was Mary Ellen Rhis Rice, his wife of 18 years. We don't know much about Mary Ellen, but she was part of this middle-class Cape Cod world Milton had built. Together, they had 3 kids: Deborah, Cheryl, and Daniel. To the outside eye, their life looked ordinary, maybe even enviable. No one had ever reported seeing bruises on Mary Ellen or hearing screams from their home. But as we'll find out, appearances can hide some dark secrets. It was the summer of 1994, and Milton and Mary Ellen were about to hit a milestone: 18 years of marriage. On August 3rd, they decided to celebrate with a dinner at the Black Cat restaurant in Hyannis, a cozy spot known for its seafood and warm vibes. Picture it: the salty breeze off the harbor, the clink of glasses, maybe a toast to nearly 2 decades together. But what happened after they left that restaurant would turn their anniversary into a nightmare and leave Cape Cod reeling. Later that night, back at their home on Buttonwood Lane, something snapped. We don't know exactly what sparked it. There's no record of a fight that neighbors overheard, no police reports of prior abuse. But sometime after dinner, Milton L. Rice picked up a 20-inch piece of lumber, a chunk of wood that could have been lying around for a home project, and turned it into a murder weapon. In their bedroom, he bludgeoned Mary Ellen, striking her head with a force that ended her life. The motive? It's a blank spot in this story. Maybe an argument boiled over. Maybe something darker had been simmering for years. Whatever it was, Milton crossed a line there was no coming back from. But he didn't stop there. Milton wasn't about to let this crime unravel his life without a fight. He dragged Mary Ellen's body out of the house, loaded her into their car, and drove to Parker Road, a quiet stretch in West Barnstable. There, in the dead of night, he doused the car with fuel and set it ablaze. The flames roared, swallowing the vehicle and Mary Ellen's remains, as Milton tried to torch away the evidence of what he'd done. Back at home, he grabbed cleaning supplies and went to work, scrubbing blood from the walls, the windows, the ceiling, the carpet, even the furniture. He was meticulous, desperate to erase every trace of the violence that had erupted in that bedroom. Early the next morning, August 4th, 1994, someone spotted the burning car on Parker Road and called the police. When officers arrived, they found a grim scene: a charred wreck with a body slumped in the front seat, barely recognizable. They ran the plates. It was registered to Milton L. Rice. That's when the trail led straight back to 120 Buttonwood Lane. They spot Milton walking out of the wooded pond area behind his property. Believe it or not, he didn't run, didn't fight, nothing. When they questioned him, the truth came spilling out, not once, but twice. Milton confessed. He'd smashed Mary Ellen's head with that piece of lumber, driven her body to Parker Road, and set the car on fire. He admitted to cleaning the house too, trying to wipe away the bloodstains. It was a cold, calculated cover-up, but it wasn't enough to outsmart the law. Milton was arrested and charged with first-degree murder and assault and battery by means of a dangerous weapon. The case went to trial in 1994 with Judge Robert A. Mulligan presiding. The prosecution painted a damning picture, a man who'd planned this killing with deliberate premeditation and carried it out with extreme atrocity or cruelty. The jury didn't buy any excuses. Milton's confessions, the car fire, the scrubbed crime scene, it all added up to guilt. They convicted him that same year, and he was sentenced to life in prison without parole. But Milton wasn't done fighting. In 1998, he appealed to the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court, hoping for a new trial. His lawyers argued the verdict was shaky, and a court document later listed the murder date as August 4th, 1993, not 1994. Looks like a typo had happened in the legal paperwork, but either way, Milton's fate was sealed the moment he opened his mouth to the cops and confessed. The appeals court justices didn't budge upholding his life sentence without parole. On April 9, 1998, the Cape Cod Times ran the headline, "Murderer Denied New Trial." The court found no reason to overturn the conviction. Milton's fate was locked in. He'd spend the rest of his days behind bars, a far cry from the gym classes and football fields he once ruled. Milton L. Rice passed away in prison on November 25, 2020, at 76 years old due to a bout with COVID-19. His obituary mentioned his kids, Deborah, Cheryl, and Daniel, and his brothers, David and Paul, but Mary Ellen's name was nowhere to be found. Maybe that's no surprise. By then, the story of what he'd done had left a permanent mark on Cape Cod. The case hit the community hard. Philip A. Rollins, the Cape and Islands District Attorney, called it a horrible tragedy in a 1998 interview, pointing out how it showed domestic violence could escalate anywhere, even in a middle-class neighborhood like West Barnstable. Quote, "See, there's no record of Milton beating Mary Ellen before that night. No 911 calls or restraining orders. Was it a one-time explosion of rage? A hidden pattern no one saw? We can only guess. But the lack of warning signs made it even scarier. Proof that danger can lurk behind the most normal-looking doors." Unquote. How does someone like Milton commit such a violent and brutal act to his wife of 18 years? This wasn't some drifter or career criminal. He was a guy with a master's degree, a steady job, a family. He'd lifeguarded on Cape Cod beaches, tackled opponents on the football field, taught kids how to shoot hoops. His life sounded like a success story, until it wasn't. What pushed him to pick up that lumber? Was it a split-second decision, or had resentment been building for years? We'll never know for sure because Milton took those answers to his grave. For Milton, life ended in a prison cell, far from the classrooms and coastlines he once knew. For Mary Ellen, it ended too soon, in a bedroom that should have been a safe haven. And for their kids, their neighbors, their town, it left scars that time can't fully heal. Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you enjoyed the story, and subscribe to Uncle Boogie Productions for more true crime deep dives. Until next time, stay safe out there, and thanks for watching a Uncle Boogie production.